And talking about the state of the nation, we will have a discussion on it. But let's run by you this, because the minority in Parliament, they've been explaining why they walked out of Parliament as the President entered the chamber to deliver the State of the Nation address, which was provoked, they say, by a presence of a heavy armed police contingent. Now, the action has since been widely condemned by members on the majority side who have described it as an act in bad faith. However, speaking exclusively to JoyNews, the minority leader, Haruna Idrisu, said many of the officers making up the contingent he believes were former vigilante members.
As you notice, were in black to protest imminent threats to the sustenance of multi-party constitutional democracy and to reject the tyrannical tendencies of President Nana Addo Dankwa and to reject his attempt to interfere with the Electoral Commission to compile a voter register that, as cautiously warned by the U.S. State Department, may lead to voter suppression, particularly in the NDC strongholds. We are particularly alarmed as the President's refusal to recommend the recommendations of the Emil Short Commission report arising out of the Ayawasu West Wagon by-election in January 2019. The President continues to shield his indicted appointees, even as that threatens the peace and stability of our country and its democracy. I mean, what happened in Ayawasu West Wagon was state-sponsored terrorism, when you have people use state authority, state resources, state power to intimidate a political opponent. It's not the same thing as justifying an MPP-NDC rivalry or conflict or fight that may end regrettably or unfortunately. But state-sponsored, can you imagine what will happen to the state and republic? December 7, 2020, if we have a repeat of that in just parts of the country or substantial parts of the country, and we are particularly concerned that many of their vigilantes have found their way into the security agencies, and we doubt whether their loyalty will be to the state or to the new patriotic party. If you are comfortable with vigilante groups going into the Ghana Police Service, God bless you. If you are comfortable with the continuous closure of radio, FM station and television station, and you are dear to democracy, God bless you.
With the vigilante groups that you say have infiltrated the security services, the Peace Council is currently taking part in talks between the NDC and the MPP to root out these groups. The NDC has refused to sign the document.
Yeah, because of the insincerity associated with some of these dialogue processes. You openly see MPP vigilantes being absorbed. Today, you didn't see them as you were entering. They offended us off to walk out.
So it's because of them that you walked out?
You saw the SWAT group. You saw them. They were deployed. We can't accept them.
So is it because of the presence of the SWAT group that you walked out?
It is part of our reason. We elevated it and we considered it, but when we saw them, then we say our democracy is in danger.
Meanwhile, minority members of Parliament spent time in their offices watching the President on their television set, whilst others left the premises with their offices all locked up. Joseph Opoku Gakpo visited some of them while in the offices.
President is delivering the State of the Nation address. Why are you not in the chamber?
Yeah, as a minority, we decided that we'll walk out of the SONA for a number of reasons. That's why after the national anthem, we decided to go out. Our walking out is a protest for Ghanaians to know that this nation, the democracy that we have is under serious threat And if we don't begin this way, I don't think we will have a future for this country.
How will a walkout of the president's address fix this concern that you raised?
Yeah, it's a message we are sending to the president that we are representing the people, and the people are saying what you are doing is not good. So you must change your position. And that is what the message we want to go out to the president.
So we're continuing our visits to the offices of MPs to find out what they are doing. Richard Koshiga is the MP for the Keta constituency. So what have you been doing over the last hour or so since you, the minority, walked out of the chamber?
Well, as you can see, I'm in my office listening to the address being given by the president. So that's what I've been doing, listening to the president in my office.
If you really wanted to listen to him, wouldn't it have worked better you sitting in the chamber and listening to him than to walk away to your office to come listen to him?
Well, of course, that's a decision we in a minority took, not to be in the chamber, by way of protest and to register our displeasure of the happenings in our country.
I've come to the office of the Member of Parliament for Odododio Neil Antivanderpoint. Let's see what's happening here. Oops. Well, the office is closed, but I can hear the television in the background. Is he here or he's out? Well, maybe he's not here.
Joseph Opoku-Gapo, our lead parliamentary correspondent. Moving on also, the General Secretary of the NDC, Johnson Esiedun Ketia, says the party fully backs the decision of the minority to walk out.
Well, I have been briefed that the minority is upset about the way the doors for free and fair elections are gradually being shut in the country. So our democracy is in peril, and that is why
which doors specifically are being shut? So when you say
election has to do with election security. There's a whole issue about security of elections in this country. Ayawasu blew up. The presidency established a commission. A commission came, identified the reasons why Ayawasu happened, named corporates to be punished, and institutions to be disbanded because they are not constitutionally founded. The presidency then comes out and then issues a white paper that nothing has happened. And those institutions, the SWAT team that the short commission recommended for its abolition, they are here now undertaking security duties. And the kingpin of the SWAT team and what happened in Ayawaso West Wogon was the Minister of State in charge of national security. He has now been positioned in the Ministry of Interior to come and take over the security of the elections that we are going to hold. So it is a whole issue about security that is being orchestrated in such a way that nobody can have free and fair elections. So you have the issue about the media freedom. Democracy is about the freedom of speech. And then you have a government shutting down all media houses that are perceived to be against the sitting government. Even as at 3 days ago, they continue shutting down media houses. So what type of democracy would you have where the door for electoral commission to conduct proper elections based on consensus is being shut? You have the security of the elections being compromised, and the right to speak is also being shut. So I believe that they are also exercising one of the remaining rights, that is the right to not to participate in what you disagree with.
But as representatives of the people, is there responsibility to be in the chamber to debate this address once it's done?
Which chamber? How are you representing the people if the avenues through which your voice ought to be heard is being shut off. When it is shut off, what are you doing there? You are representing the people by clapping for a president who is shutting down all doors of accountability. The president should be accountable to the people, and you are representing the people. So if the president is making things difficult for anybody to hold that government accountable, our national anthem, urges us to resist the oppressor's rule. So if you see the foundations of oppression, you have a duty as a Ghanaian to fight it. We cannot be in a system where the press has been cowed, all civil society organizations are scared, leadership of faith-based organizations and all others cannot speak because they fear of consequences. So we support what our MPs have done, because it is another powerful way of communicating the concerns of the NDC and by extension Ghanaians to the fact that our democracy is gradually being put in harm's way.
But why now? These concerns have been existent for God knows how long. Couldn't other forms of protest have been undertaken at a different time than now?
Why are you interviewing me now? Because there's a point that...
Now let's take you to the Ashanti region next, and this time still also focusing on politics, as is now being confirmed. At least 4 MPP sympathizers in the Asante Mampong constituency were injured when supporters of 2 parliamentary aspirants clashed over the filing fee or the filing of their documents and the processes thereof. Now, club-wielding supporters of incumbent Member of Parliament Sapong Amprechum engage in a free-for-all fight with those of former presidential aspirant and Member of Parliament Francis Adainimo at the party's office on Wednesday. Now, it comes as the police arrest 2 people in Adansia Sokwan constituency after similar clashes between supporters of the incumbent Member of Parliament Katie Hammond and Sami Bemfo. Ohimin Tewia of our security desk has more in the following report.
Incumbent MP Sapon Amprechum and his predecessor Francis Adainimo were both expected to file their nominations separately at the party's constituency office. The decision by election committee to reject the former presidential aspirants' forms after the incumbent had gone through the process triggered the confusion. Supporters of both aspirants attacked each other with clubs, stones and other weapons, leaving many of them injured. Constituency executives had to run for their dear lives in the ensuing clash. Mr. Adainimo is unhappy about the development he describes as avoidable.
Why should just receiving of nomination be a problem? An exercise that takes about 5 minutes, not more than that, or 10 minutes, that can be done. And that is why tension is rising in the constituency. How long should it take one person to file nomination? So far in this constituency, 2 applicants have filed their nomination, 1 person, then today the sitting MP. So why should it be difficult for me also to file my nomination and for you to tell me that I should come on the last day of the period? I find it a bit ridiculous. There's no common sense in it.
The former MP, who was initially denied nomination forms by constituency executives, called for calm among his supporters as he explores alternative ways to file his nomination.
What is it to receive nomination forms to the extent that, there should be high tension for anybody to get injured? No, I will condemn it. It shouldn't be that I, Francis Adainimo, seeking power should be at the expense of somebody shedding blood. No, that we will not allow it to happen. But I think the Constituency Elections Committee, the chairman, Mr. Josini Makun, the constituency chairman, Mr. Luther Asari, and the constituency secretary, Mr. Malik, they should live up to expectation, because there is responsibility on them. The exercise they are doing, at the end, if there is any benefit, it will accrue to them. If the party has to compensate them, they will take it. That is why they have been constituted as a constituency elections committee. So they cannot shirk their responsibility. They cannot. they have got to live up to their responsibility. So for now, I will call on my supporters to remain calm, to restrain themselves. We do not want to encounter any violence. We don't want to engage in any activity that will, increase the tension.
In Adansi Asokwa, 2 people have been granted bail after similar clashes between 2.
Away from politics, but this time still in the region, 8 choba operators arrested for preparing food under unsanitary conditions at the Asafu market in Kumasi. They have been fined a total of some 6,360 Ghana cedis after being convicted for the offense. Heavy-duty equipment dealer Mantrak was also fined some 600 Ghana cedis for piled up waste in its yard. The presiding judges of separate district courts also directed environmental officers to conduct further inspection of premises of the entities involved to ensure that they have abated the nuisance. Love FM's Asante Mampong has more.
Look at the place. Huh? Look at the whole environment. Why do you cook?
The sanitation enforcement team on Tuesday issued court summons to these chop bar operators found to be preparing and selling food in the midst of unimaginably filthy environment. The team found foul-smelling, choked gutters filled with decomposing organic matter sitting at the center of these spaces which served as kitchen for these eateries. On the premises of some of the chop bars were stagnated, smelly water just distance away from where patrons sit to eat. Presiding judges, His Lordships Eric Nkansa and Her Lordship Aliata Said, convicted them on their own plea. They were handed fines ranging from 40 to 100 penalty units. They ordered further inspection of these places to confirm they have tidied up their workplaces or risk imprisonment. Enoch Nkansa is the prosecutor.
The sentences were that some of them were fined 100 penalty units each, others 50 penalty units each, and some 40 penalty units each, depending upon the severity of the offense committed. And delivering judgment, the judge was very surprised about people who handle food in such a poor environment, in such an unsanitary environment, and said should they continue doing that, he will close all their food premises. All food handlers who operate in filthy environment, he will close all their food premises. Yeah.
Again, he has tasked you to do something. What is it?
He has asked the prosecution unit to visit the areas where they were brought to court to find out whether they have abated the nuisances or not. If they refuse to abate the nuisances, we should bring them back to court.
The operators admitted their crime and are willing to change.
I agree. I was told I did not cover the food. I have covered it now. You should come back and inspect it. I'm prepared to change. I'm cleaning my place now. I'll be done by Friday. The court has done the right thing. It should be replicated across the city.
Your job.
Rachel Awade, who represented Mantrak, was fined 600 Ghana cedis after she explained to the court that the piled up waste found on their premises has been cleared. Reporting for JoyNews, Erastus Asaredonko, Kumasi.
And to end the news, the Tachimang Circuit Court, presided over by His Lordship Justice Alexander Graham, has denied a bail request for a suspected fake lawyer currently standing trial over perjury, deceit of court by impersonating and defrauding by false pretenses. The suspect, Idris Oyaya, appeared before the court, introducing himself as a counsel representing Usmanu Umaru and Ali Sambo, who are both standing for the offense of robbery and kidnapping. Now, the accused is set to reappear on the 3rd of March 2020 as the presiding judge awaits advice from the Office of the Chief Justice. And Asabet was at the court and came through with the following report.
So on the 5th of February this year, One Idrisu Yaya, dressed in a lawyer's gown, a wig, and a bib, appeared before the Techiman Circuit Court, presided over by His Lordship Justice Alexander Graham. Introducing himself as a counsel representing Osmano Omoru and one Ali Sambo, who are both standing trial for an offense of robbery and kidnapping. Mr. Idrisu Yaya's demeanor raised suspicion and prompted the presiding judge, Justice Graham, to subject him to some series of questioning to ascertain the chamber he operates. The prosecuting officer informed the judge and the court that the suspect collected an amount of 25,000 Ghana cedis from the suspects who are standing trial involving the robbery and kidnapping case. The suspect was remanded in police custody and was set to reappear before the court today, the 20th of February 2020. Well, today, the prosecuting officer, Inspector F.K. Agbasa, was absent in court, and the presiding judge, His Lordship Alexander Graham, has adjourned the case to the 3rd of March 2020. His reason being that the prosecuting officer is currently not around, and so he have to hear from his side as well before taking a decision. Also, the case has been referred to the office of the Chief Justice, and the presiding judge is waiting for advice from the office of the Chief Justice. So we've been speaking to his defense counsel, lawyer also Ajman, on the proceedings today, and this is what he has been saying.
The prosecution requested the court to remand him to enable them complete or continue with their investigations. The court granted the application of the prosecution to remand him. So he was remanded, and the case was adjourned to today, which is the 20th of February. This morning we came to court. Unfortunately, the prosecutor was not in court, and as a result, my lord adjourned the case to the 3rd of March. Although I made the application that because his liberty is at stake, the court should grant him, bail, whether or not the prosecution was not in court. But the court says that they want the prosecution to be present before, the court could grant bail. So
you were pushing for a bail. Why? Any reason why you wanted?
Yes, I was pushing for bail because the man has not been convicted yet, right? It means constitutionally, he's presumed innocent until he has been found guilty after trial, or until he has pleaded guilty himself. So it's lawfully presumed that he is innocent. And if he is innocent, then his liberty should be given to him. That is, he should be admitted to bail.
Asked if he's confident his client will walk freely after this particular hearing, lawyer Osu Ajman has this to say.
Well, I am not the court. It's the court which determines the guilt or otherwise of an accused person, right? Yes. It doesn't lie in my mouth to say whether he will be guilty or not guilty. That should be left to the court to determine after trial or after he himself maybe has pleaded guilty.
As his lawyer, you should be able to tell whether he will...
Very well, he has told me that he is not guilty of the offense charged.
So standing by that.
Well, that's what he says, right? So we leave it to the court to try.
The suspect, Idrisu Yaya, is currently standing trial on 3 different charges. 1, perjury. 2, personation. And 3, defrauding by false pretense. And that is a charge being leveled against him by family of the 2 suspects who are standing trial in relation to the kidnapping and robbery case. So from the Techiman Circuit Court, I am Anas Sabit for JoyNews.
Well, that's it. Latest news update we have. But we have more news. I can see a lot of the newspapers in the studio. Do stay with us. Myself, Mama View Sobwaje. We will be looking at stories occupying the front, center spreads, and the back pages of the newspapers. In the meantime, if you're on the road, make sure you drive safely. The campaign is on. Also add the hashtag #ArriveAlive, especially also the hashtag AM Show and the hashtag JoyNews to all commentary on Facebook, Twitter, and the rest of our social media handles. We're taking a break. We'll be right back.